What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema.
JamesShoe.com.
And we are live on set, AMC, Las Vegas. It's end of the year 2014. The year is coming to an end, and it's been an awesome year so far, but it ain't over yet because today we are here for a movie that I am completely jacked about. Channing Tatum, Mr. Steve Carell, the Hulk himself, for Foxcatcher.
A movie that I've been waiting for probably for over a year. I saw a trailer and I've been like, this is it. This is the movie that I'm excited because I love Steve Carell. I think the man's an incredible actor, and this is the part of his career where like so many great comedians have gone through, where they say, hey guys, I could do more than comedy.
By the way,
though Steve Carell's done things like in The Way Back, he doesn't play necessarily a comedian, but it's definitely more light. And this is something that's going to be completely different. What are your expectations going into this? Do you know anything about the John DuPont case? Like, do you know what happens in the situation? Because, like many of the movies that are coming out this year, they're all based on true stories. Do you know what the kind of backstory of this is?
I know a little bit. I'm very excited to hear what you're going to tell me about it. But since we live in Las Vegas, fabulous, Viva Las Vegas. We get everything late. We get everything last, and the good and the bad about that is everything you've heard about Foxcatcher, everyone's jacked up. Everyone's saying that Steve Carell, yep, gonna get a nom. Everyone's saying that Channing Tatum, they're not saying that he's gonna get a nom, but they're saying that his street cred right now is just going through the roof because he's been doing films lately where it's like, okay, he's not just this good-looking guy. He's not just a quote-unquote Matthew McConaughey at the beginning of his career. Just a great body. He's a dancer. Step Up dude is in a serious movie. He's not that guy anymore. People, a lot of film pundits like yourself are like, okay, this guy, he can. It looks like he's going to mature to become a real actor.
I think he's maturing. I think he's learning the craft. I think he's respecting it, which I think is something that it's honestly practicing and trying. And I think that he's doing both of those things. And if you keep working, I'm sure. But I mean, to be in a movie like this, you're already kind of putting your name in that type of conversation.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I honestly did not know anything about the John DuPont case going into this movie. I like to do research, but when I know that something's going to happen, I really do my best to kind of keep myself surprised. I don't want to see what's going to happen because that way it kind of spoils it. For instance, I was infamously known for not knowing what happened or forgetting what happened with Captain Phillips. So I went into that movie and it was completely like an intense thriller, more so than everyone else because everyone else knew what happened at the end of Captain Phillips. So Foxcatcher, it's about 2 hours and 20 minutes. Steve Carell by Bennett Miller, who brought the world Moneyball and Capote. Two amazing films, Academy-nominated films, wonderful. So I'm really, really excited to see this 2 hour and 20 minute picture.
All right, we'll be back.
Yes.
We're here to enjoy it. Oscar nominate race, let's go.
Let's do it.
What's up, guys? So we just got out of Foxcatcher. Mark Ruffalo, the Hulk. The main star is Steve Carell, and of course, Mr. Channing Tatum. Did they let you down, or did it catch your eye?
Well, Foxcatcher not only caught my eye, but it ended up being one of the best films of the year. Bennett Miller.
Up there with Gone Girl?
Up there with Gone Girl.
Up there with Nightcrawler?
Up there with Nightcrawler. I mean, okay, let's talk about performances first. Channing Tatum, as we talked about earlier, coming from Step Up, really delivered a one performance here. I don't think it'll get him nominated, and I'm not knocking his performance. I think it's really good. It just so happens to be in between two performances that I believe are a bit better, but I think it's very promising for Channing Tatum. As we were talking about, I think he's practicing his craft. I think he's really working at trying to be a really great actor, and if he keeps it up like this, he will get his moment. I think he's great in this movie. I think anyone who doesn't think he does good isn't watching, isn't paying attention. However, Mark Ruffalo, I think, does better than him as far as delivery to his character, though Mark Ruffalo is not in nearly as much as Channing Tatum and Steve Carell. His moments are very crucial, they're very important, and they speak volumes about their character. I honestly think he'll end up with a supporting nom from the Academy Award. But I know everyone wants to know what I think about Steve Carell. Steve Carell is the main attraction here, and he does not disappoint. I mean, you want to talk about a performance that is chilling and complex and something that you could look at and understand. Well, try to understand.
Try to.
Yeah, exactly.
Try to.
I think, in a way, he's a great comparison to Jake Gyllenhaal's performance in Nightcrawler. They're both very, very scary in different ways. And I think the great thing about Steve Carell is that he's, you can tell there's a lot of issues. We learn that, he is in search of something as well as Channing Tatum is looking for something. Steve Carell is looking for a friend, someone to actually care about him. There's a very pivotal moment in the film where he finds out that his only friend he's had his entire life, his mother paid off to be his friend. And it's very you very much learn about him and how he thinks and how he feels and why he is so odd and different and socially awkward that we kind of discover. And to be someone who has issues and rage and that such complexity, but to be so transparent enough that the audience can see it, but at the same time not transparent enough where we know that he's acting, it's a real talent. I mean, I can't explain much further just how incredible this performance is. It's one of those things where even as I as a critic cannot word it properly, and I say you must go see it for yourself because you have to see this performance. The overall tone of the movie I think might throw a little bit of people off because it is a very slow movie, and as I've told you since we've started this, I hate that descriptive term. Usually, because it's usually used as a negative thing. Oh, the movie's too slow. Sometimes pacing is a very, very pivotal thing a movie does, and I think the great thing about this movie is that it literally sits and waits and makes you sit there. There's that phrase that oh, it's too quiet. It's so quiet, it's too quiet, and something's wrong. Something's up, but you just have to kind of sit there and wait to see what it is and figure it out. And it really just makes you kind of go through this whole film. And there are climactic moments. It's not like just all dull and patience, but patience pays off, and you're really sitting there and you're really waiting, and things happen, but this is just not going to end well. And I think that the way it's delivered is very, very powerful. I think it's going to strike audiences. It's very harrowing and scary. Again, I'm comparing him to a man that was terrifying and arguably a vicious monster with Jake Gyllenhaal's Nightcrawler. I mean, this is a movie that I think people need to see. I don't think it's going to be the most exciting thriller that I think a lot of people are expecting it to be, because the trailer is a little bit more fast-paced and kind of comes off like it's going to be just crazy things happening all the time. But it's one of those movies where you're watching two different people come apart. You're watching these two people who, one's in search for a father, one's in search for a friend, who end up finding each other, though both have so many issues, they just start crumbling in each other's grasp. And watching that happen is one of the best experiences of movies I've gotten this year. And
that's why we love film, man.
I know, I got rolling up there, I'm sorry.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's that kind of movie where it really strikes you, and I could talk about it for hours. It's really great. Bennett Miller also has a really great job of not being able, he doesn't do black or white. There's no villain in this movie. Obviously, people knows what happens, or people who are familiar, or could even, you could kind of get the feeling from the trailer. John DuPont is technically the bad guy of the film, but we don't say, here's a villain, here's the victim, here's a bad guy, here's a good guy. These are people you're trying to understand. People you're watching, you just kind of, you understand them, you're getting to see the complexity, and to be an actor and be a lonely, rageful, cynical, alcoholic, drug addict, and be able to communicate all that just by words and actions, it's absolutely why I do what I do, is because of things like that.
I love it. ChasingCinema.com/Foxcatcher. That way you can get the full-on review written by Mr. Jacob R. Toronto.
Even though I'm unfortunately not writing the review for this one. I really wish I would, or I could, but unfortunately Uwe Tom will be writing this film. But he feels very similar. Huh?
Nothing. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting. Okay, like and follow
one
this
of the
guy.
best films of the year. I just gotta say it again.
And you know what the crazy part is? The year ain't over, player. We still got Christmas, the busiest day of the year. Sony's already taken out the interview. Now
we had 5 films, but now I believe we only have 4.
Into the Woods.
The Imitation Game.
Imitation Game. Keira Knightley, woo! Cumberbatch for you.
Big Eyes.
Big Eyes. Amy Adams, woo!
Imitation Game. Big Eyes.
Into the Woods.
Into the Woods, and Unbroken.
And then Unbroken, Angelina Jolie, not directorial debut, but one of her films that she's hoping is going to get a lot of Oscar buzz. And as of right now, I'm going to have to say it's not catching
at the beginning of the year, it was all we could talk about, and then
yes,
as of late, just kind of all came crumbling down.
It does seem that way.
Imitation Game has come out in a lot of other places. We're one of the last people to receive it, as well as no, that's it. I'm sorry, because Selma, they actually pushed back Selma, which is another film that will be, I'm sure, going to be Oscar conversation. But we're not getting it until January, unfortunately. That's the one about the marches that Martin Luther King led from Selma to Montgomery. But anyway, Big Eyes, Tim Burton's film, and we all know that I've not been on the Tim Burton bandwagon as of the last decade.
But Amy Adams.
Yes, we have Amy Adams, Christoph Waltz, who, as we talked about earlier, in another one of our reviews that we've done today, incredible, Amanda Watch. So, a lot of things to look forward to next week. It's a great way to go out the year.
Into the Woods.
Yes, Into the Woods, the music from Disney, Meryl Streep, and everyone knows that I love some Meryl
Oscar
Streep.
nom.
So a lot of things going on.
Oh, she breathed. The way she breathed was an Oscar nomination worthy.
But I will argue, and I've said it before, I think Meryl Streep is one of the best actors that have ever lived.
She earned it.
And I mean, literally, out of every generation,
she earned it.
One of the tops. We would have had 6 films, but unfortunately, you know how that goes.
Interview.
That's kind of disappointing. We've talked a lot about it.
A little bit.
Little bit.
We talked a little bit about it. Check it out.
We've done 4 reviews for the other movies coming out tonight. If you don't know, Wilds came out tonight, Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb, and Annie. So if you go watch all of these different video reviews, throughout them, and Foxcatcher, throughout them, you'll find a lot of our conversations about the interview. It's kind of like an Easter egg, you know, just keep clicking around.
By the
See
way,
what you'll find, because we have a lot to say about it.
Just saying it, and it's what we love. ChaseandCinema.com, the film lovers website.